Where have I been? Come back after the intro and let's talk about it. Hello and welcome to Cat Hair and Chaos. My name is Kim. Thanks for stopping by. Today we are going to have a little whipping chat. This is a long time coming. I don't know, some of you may have realized and noticed that it's been a while since I have filmed anything other than the premiere that has just done for the small shops here a few weeks ago, a few days ago. Depending on when I get this uploaded, it'll be a few days, it could be a few weeks. I don't know, guys. Life is lifing hard right now. So I just kind of put my channel on the back burner, but I'm trying to get back to it because I do like making content. It's just there's not enough hours in the day sometimes. But, we'll get into all of that here in just a few minutes. But first, I wanted to go through real quick and let you know what I'm working on. This is my Coca-Cola Santa from Sunature, and I'm trying to get it done for Christmas so we can hang it up in the house. This is the one that me and my husband are working on, but I'm kind of just taking it over so we can get it done. Let's see here. Boy, it's been a while since I've done a whipping chat. I don't know what all you're supposed to do. Are you supposed to say, here, this is my cover minder, Cat Hair and Chaos. It came from Shire Shenanigans. My release papers, of course, are from Crafts with Crashly. They're my favorite. My favorite Bijou Bliss tray. This is called the Mini. No, this is the Pocket. This is the Pocket tray. These are the smallest ones, or not the smallest, but the next smallest ones. I got my pins from, can you see that? My pins are from Creations Moran. Tips are from DAC. And then I was lucky enough to be a tester for the 2.0 putty from Putty Crocker. There you are. And so I am using this in my pens. She's got a new formula, and it works really, really well. So I think that's all that y'all like to know, or maybe you don't. Maybe just people do it just to have time on their content. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Grab you a cup of coffee, sit back. We got a lot of things to discuss, which is rare because normally I struggle with having things to discuss on the whipping chat. But boy, you guys are going to get an earful today. So, get my coffee. It is, let's see, what time is it? It is 6:05 in the morning. I've been up since 4:30. My son has a bowling tournament in St. Louis today. So he went off with two of his bowler friends, and they are heading to St. Louis. Of course, I can't sleep when he travels because, even though he's 20, it's still really scary for him to be out there without me. So that's what we're doing on that. So I'm on my second cup of coffee, and I was like, well, I need to get some things filmed. So we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. So where have I been? Well, I don't know if you noticed or paid attention or anything, but I had been doing the every Friday what Diamond Art Club was going to drop for Saturday, and I really enjoyed doing that. And I need to get back to it because I do enjoy doing it. I'm gonna move this. I'll leave it there for now. So I was going to do it the one weekend, that I didn't do it the first weekend, whatever it was. I don't know, about a month ago. And so I was going to get that done, but Tucker had a bowling tournament. So we were traveling the day that it dropped, or that Friday. So I did try, no, we weren't traveling. He was bowling. So I was going to try to do it in the car and all of that. And, time kind of got away from me and I didn't get it done. I should have known then that September was just going to be nuts because I had gotten a call actually the day before that my aunt had passed away. But the funeral arrangements weren't going to be until like a week away because one of her son's daughters is in college and she was several hours away, and with college and everything she just really couldn't get home until I think it was the next Thursday or Friday. I can't remember now, it's been too long. So anyway, we went to this bowling tournament and we did all that, and then came home and I had a few days to work and all of that, and then I had to go. It's 3 hours away, I think it is, to the funeral for my aunt. Very lovely funeral. Now she had Alzheimer's for the last 4 or 5 years, and she had been in the memory care facility. And I had taken my other aunt, Aunt Mary, which we will get into talking about her in a few minutes as well. I had taken her 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, up to see. I'm not doing well. Up to see my Aunt Katie, and she was in a memory care facility at that point, but it was she could still like have a cat, and she had her own living, like a little living apartment, but she was just you could tell she was not of sound mind at that point. So I took her up there a couple of years ago, and they visited, and about every, I don't know, 6 months to a year, I would ask Aunt Mary if she wanted to go back and see her. And I think it was just so hard on Mary to see her sister, her younger sister, because Aunt Mary is the oldest, in that state that she just didn't want to. Plus, I mean, my Aunt Mary is 85. So for her to travel, it is kind of an ordeal. But, I was prepared to, grab a wheelchair or, whatever we need to do to get it done. But she opted, not to go see her anymore. She wanted to remember her like she was the last time she saw her. Which, I get it. She was, she had moments where she knew where you were or who you were. And, she always confused me with my mom, but, that's understandable. Even people without dementia just, seeing me and not thinking, think that I'm my mom. My mom has been gone since 2012. She was the baby of the family. There are 4 of them. She was the baby of the family, and she was the first to go. So then now there's my Aunt Katie, and she's the second to go. And we still have Aunt Mary, of course, and then my Uncle Corky. So 3 girls and a boy. And actually, my grandma had 2 other children who passed away in infancy. I think one was stillborn, and then the other died just a couple of days later. But and one of the main reasons is all of us women in the bloodline have O negative blood. So, back then they didn't have that shot that you take to make sure your babies can survive with your blood type. And so, it is what it is. That's not what I'm talking, that's not really any part of the story, just an anecdote. So, anyway, my Aunt Mary got a shoulder replacement back in July. And at first, when she was talking about getting the shoulder replacement, the doctor was like, yeah, you'll stay in the hospital 2 or 3 days, and then, you come home and have some home health and outpatient therapy, and you'll be fine. Well, I don't know if they realized that she had really good insurance or what, but the day of the surgery, they decided that she was going to go into a rehab center afterwards, which great. I mean, again, 85 years old. She needs more extensive rehab after this, to make sure that because she lives by herself. She has all of her life. She doesn't need much help. And when I say much help, she would not need any help. She could figure out how to do whatever she needed to do, getting rides or, before this surgery, she could drive. And so, but they wanted to make sure that she was going to be okay to live by herself, which great, whatever. That turned into an almost 3-month stay at the rehab center. And so she was still in the rehab center whenever my Aunt Katie passed away. And so I had called her up and I was like, do you want me to come get you and take you to the funeral? And she's like, no, I don't want to. I'm in this rehab center. I was like, well, you're almost done. So, we can break you out for the weekend and take you up there if that's what you want. And she's like, no, I don't want to go. I want to remember her how she was. And I was like, okay. So I went, and my Aunt Katie had 2 boys. One's my age and one is 4 years younger. And growing up, we were pretty close. They live in Kansas, like I said, and we live in Missouri. And so we would see them, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a year. I think they tried to come to my grandma's like every 3 months. And so, I did have a close relationship. And then once we got grown and, but before we got married to our spouses, me and the younger son, we would hang out on the weekends a lot. And then he met his wife and got married, and then I met my husband and got married. And so, kids and everything just never really hung out anymore, which, that happened, but we were still pretty close. So, they still have their mom's house. They never did sell it when she went into the memory care facility. And so they let me stay there. And my one cousin, he lives a couple hours away from where the funeral is or was going to be. And so he stayed at the house, and we hung out and visited. And, I mean, it was just a really nice time hanging out and kind of reminiscing. I mean, because I remember as a kid, my mom had me when she was 22. So that would have made my Aunt Katie 24 and then my Aunt Mary 28. Because there were 2 years from between all the kids. And so, but I remember very distinctly hanging out at my Aunt Katie's house when I was really, really young, like 3 and 4. Well, no, I'll take that back. It had to be, no, I was probably that because I don't think Keith was the youngest, was born yet. So I mean, I'm super young. I hung out at their house, stayed the weekend, and it always frustrated me because I'd get up in the mornings and I had to go to the bathroom. And of course, as a kid, they put a pallet on the floor. And so I'd get up, go to the bathroom, and was going to come back and lay back down on the pallet. And the pallet had been picked up and put away. It was time for me to get up. And that always irritated me. And I don't know why. I mean, I guess because I like to sleep even as a kid. But it's like, dang, I don't want to get up. I want to go back to sleep. But no, I had to get up, and because the pallet was gone, and it's time to eat breakfast and time to play, and once you did all that, everything was fine. But I just remember that so vividly. And my Aunt Katie, she had a rough time. She had a rough life, honestly. Now my mom, she passed away. She had a lot of health issues, like the last 10 to 15 years. But my Aunt Katie, she was incredibly healthy up until, she got dementia. But she married her first husband, the father of my cousins. And then when my first husband was in his not my first husband, her first husband, when her first husband was in his mid to late 40s, he got cancer and passed away. This was late 80s, early 90s. I want to say it was like 87, 88, somewhere around there, I think. So, I mean, incredibly sad. And he was very well liked in the community. A huge funeral. They rented out like a auditorium because he was a school teacher, and he was, like I said, he was just really big in the community, and the whole community came out. To the point, he was so big in the community that whenever I took my Aunt Mary to go see my Aunt Katie, we went to Applebee's. We decided that we would take the ladies to Applebee's. And so we went to Applebee's and was sitting there eating. And my Aunt Mary was like, "Do you hear them guys over there?" Now, this is, what, 2022, 2023? I don't remember. And Uncle Smitty, that was his name, has been dead since the 90s, or late 80s, early 90s. So that's what, 20, 30 years. And I was like, "No, what's going on?" She goes, "They're talking about Smitty." I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, listen to them. They're talking about Smitty." And sure enough, 30 years later, they were talking about how Uncle Smitty did this and Uncle Smitty did that, and how he really helped out, whatever. I can't remember all the details now. And so my Aunt Mary was like, "Are you talking about Smitty?" And they were like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, that was my brother-in-law." And they're like, "Okay." And this is his wife. And they're like, "Oh, hey, Linda." Her name's Linda Kay. We always called her Aunt Katie. But, so her name was Linda Kay. And, it was just the funniest thing because, 30 years later, and they're still talking about Uncle Smitty. So, anyway, he had passed away 30 years ago. And, then I want to say it was like maybe 5 years after that, or it wasn't. It was still in the 90s, the early 90s. So, but I'm going to say it's probably about 5 years. Aunt Katie met a man named Gary. Very nice. Treated her great. Funny. And so they got married, and she would have been probably in her 50s, so probably around my age at that point, maybe a little younger. And so they got married, and he lived 5 years. Went to go hunt with his brothers and nephews and whatever, and dropped dead of a heart attack. He said to his brother, he was like, "Man, I'm not feeling very good." And practically before he got the word good out, he dropped and was dead. So, that was a complete shock. And so we went to the funeral for that. And then, then my Aunt Katie, 20, 30 years later, she passed away. But it was funny because I remember distinctive at Gary's funeral, at the cemetery, she had buried Gary, kind of next to Uncle Smitty. So there was Uncle Smitty, a plot, and then Gary. And she said that it didn't matter how many times she got married, she was going to be buried between the two. And she was. I mean, that was whenever we went to the cemetery, that's where they laid her to rest, is between the two. And so I just thought, I thought that's kind of nice, because first of all, normally you don't find love, nowadays it's hard to find love once, and she found it twice, and both times it was ripped from her, while she was still young. And I don't know if she dated after Gary. That's none of my business. But she never married again. So anyway, I don't know what the point is to this rambling other than, just kind of giving you a glimpse of, I guess I'm kind of memorializing my Aunt Katie, because we growing up were a very close family. And, you go to grandma's. If you were in town, you went to grandma's to eat Sunday dinner practically every Sunday. So, like I said, we're really close. And that also instilled in me that you take care of your own. If someone is hurt or, needs your help, family, you drop what you're doing and you go and help them. Luckily, my family is really cool. We don't have any dirt bags. We have some sketchy ones, but they mean well. And when I say sketchy, I don't mean, like super sketchy, just not, maybe what I would do, but that's life, Um, I am very blessed with the family that I have, and honestly, I got pretty good in-laws too, so I can't complain about my family, and I feel terrible that others don't have the family unit that I have, because it's nice. I'm not gonna lie, it's nice. So anyway, get back from the funeral and everything, and I mean I'm just wiped out. Traveling with Tucker. I had traveled, actually. I had traveled 2 weeks with Tucker. They take a drink of coffee. And then the next week, I had the funeral. So, then the week after that, I'm like, I'm just beat. So I did a little bit of diamond painting. I knew I had some videos I needed to do, but I was just like, you know what? I don't care. I just want to hang out, do my thing, and, go from there. So that is what I did. Fast forward to about, I don't know, a week or so after that, and my Aunt Mary calls, and she's like, hey, guess what? Next week, I'm getting out of the rehab center. Could you come up and stay with me for a few days, make sure I'm doing okay? I'm like, absolutely. So, I told my work what was going on. Luckily with COVID, one of the good things that came out of COVID for me was they realized that what I do can be done from anywhere. I can work from home. I can, pack up my computer and go wherever. So I had asked, whatever you want to call it, my bosses, like, hey, got to go up to my Aunt Mary's for a few days. And they're like, okay. I said, of course, I was like, I'll take my computer, no big deal. And so I stayed up at Aunt Mary's for about a week. Now, think I've told you before, I have a camper van. And I like taking the camper van up to Aunt Mary's so I have my own space. First of all, like I said, she's 85, and so she sets her thermostat to her age. So it's always incredibly hot in there, and I just need to be able to sleep in a place that's not in the 80s. And my husband, he likes to come and too, so kind of gives him his own space as well. So we tootled up there. It's like 4 hours, and got her settled and hung out with her for a few days and everything, and she was fine. Well, during all of this time, even from whenever I had to go to the funeral, my husband was and is fighting some back, hip, sciatica pain. And right now it's debilitating for him. I'm not going to lie. It is really hard on him, and it's hard on all of us. He's disabled anyway. And then so you put this on top of, you put this on top of his other, issues. Well, it makes for a long day for him. But he had started to get better a couple of days before we went to Aunt Mary's. So he was like, yeah, I can go. I shouldn't have any problems. He went. didn't have hardly any problems. What problems he did have was very easy to overcome. And so we hung out, made plans to come up in at least in December to help her make Christmas cookies and candy. Now, I did that for her last year too, because she had been in the hospital, and I'd went up after she'd gotten home and stayed with her a few days. And so I think she just really likes for me to come up and hang out with her for a few days. She, of course, don't get me wrong, there's tons of family up where she lives, but she sees them, I think, as the day-to-day people, where, she needs a gallon of milk, or if she needs her mail to be brought to her, that's what they do. And I come in, I guess I'm like respite. I come in once every 6 weeks to 2 months, and like help her make Christmas cookies and candy, get her house switched over from the seasons. Let's see, what else do I do? Kind of deep, not necessarily deep clean, but move things around. Those are the things that I do. I don't do the day-to-day, although we did have to go to the Social Security office. The one day I was there because she had to sign some paperwork. She had changed banks and had to change her Social Security check to the new bank. We can't do that over the phone anymore. So she had to go into the Social Security office and do all of that. So we got that done, easy peasy, and and then I came home, and so that was, I don't know, about a week ago, I guess. And so now, and then that weekend, I came home on a Friday. And that weekend is like, you know what? I'm just going to diamond paint my face off. I'm not going to worry about creating any kind of content. And then I will do it, next week. So guess what, guys? It's the next week. Now, I didn't have to, but I did do the Small Shop Fall Festival premiere that you have already seen by now. I did do that one, but that was the only diamond painting content, and I had like 3 or 4 weeks to do that, and I pretty much took it to the wire. So, but we got that done, and I hope you all liked it. I hope you were able to watch it and liked it. There were 12, 13 creators. I don't remember now how many creators there were, but kind of small. Definitely not like the Christmas premieres, but I think every year, of course, it'll grow like the Christmas premieres. There wasn't that many Christmas premieres 3 or 4 years ago. So I look forward to continue to grow. And yes, I will be doing a Christmas premiere again this year. Not sure if I'll do it with Molly. I'm going to try to, because I thought that was a lot of fun. But her life's kind of lifing on her too, so I don't know if we'll be able to get together, or if maybe I'll just, I don't know, do something. I don't know. I'm starting to think about what I want to do for the Christmas premiere. Now that I've done one, and then the Small Shop premiere, I kind of know more what's going on, what people like to see maybe. Honestly, I don't know if it's what people want to see. They just like to watch their favorite creators, and, that's that. So, anyway, I got to figure out what I want to do. If anybody has any topics or anything, drop them down below, and that would help me out. So, that's been my life in the last month to 6 weeks. So how y'all doing? I hope everybody is doing well. Other than my husband having his flare up, or I don't even know what you would call it, his thing. We're doing relatively well. The boy bowling and doing really well. Like I said, he's off this weekend to St. Louis with friends, and I'm excited for that. Hopefully he will be able to make money and have a good time. He's super excited because I don't know if any of y'all have ever heard of Gus's Fried Chicken. There's one in Memphis, and that's where we went to eat, and it is amazing fried chicken. And then when we went to Arkansas a few weeks back, they had a Gus's, so we were able to eat Gus's in Arkansas, and it was again delicious. Now, I am not a huge chicken person. I mean, I like chicken well enough, and I like fried chicken. But it's one of those meals where maybe once a month chicken would be fine. I'm not a big fan of like chicken strips, and in my town, that's pretty much all there is. We have a KFC and about 47 chicken strip places. And so I'm not really crazy about strips or chicken sandwiches. I do like bone-in occasionally, but and I only want like one thigh. If I'm overly hungry, I'll have a thigh and a wing. But mostly it's just a thigh, because like I said, I'm not crazy about it. So we went to Gus's whenever we were in Arkansas. And they have a special, a 4-piece and 2 sides for X amount of dollars. And so I was like, okay, I'll get this 4-piece, and then I can save the other pieces and maybe take them to my husband, because he loves Gus's too. Do you know I ate all 4 pieces? That's how good Gus's is. I had no intention of eating all 4 pieces. I was going to take some back home to my husband, but no, I ate every piece. And Tucker did too, which, he's 20, he's a grown boy. So we had no Gus's to take back, which is fine. I mean, logistically, we had no way of getting it back safely because we didn't have a cooler or anything like that. So, and he was bowling that next day. So, logistically, there's no way we could have, unless we bought a cooler, and that's just a pain. So, but maybe if we go back to Arkansas, we know that there's Gus's down there. We'll prepare a little bit more and be able to bring some chicken back for my husband. Okay, well, I have talked your leg off, haven't I? Let me think. Oh, so I was going to talk to you a little bit about my channel. I am going to be doing some content. Don't really know what. I got a big list of things I want to do. And so, I've got that. But until the first of the year, I think my content is I think I'm just going to kind of play around with things, see what works, what doesn't. I have some ideas of things that I want to try. And, it may fail miserably. It may be super successful. I don't know. So if you see some things going on the channel and you're like, what in the world is she doing? Just know I'm just trying to find my way. I have found I am not big on doing big unboxings. I mean, I don't mind doing little bitty 40 by 30 unboxings and everything, but with my space, it is really hard to get a huge canvas out and show you. And what happens is I keep putting it off, and then it's time to kit up and do the canvas because I'm doing an event or whatever, and it never gets unboxed. So I'm trying to figure out ways that may be easier, or I may decide, every creator does unboxings. So, why do I want to continue to do things that every other creator does? Maybe I want to go into a different direction. So, that's kind of what I am leaning towards. Just not do the unboxings. These whipping chats, if I have things to talk about, I don't mind doing them. But rarely is my life this chaotic. Usually, I have spent a lifetime getting my life to where it's pretty boring. I don't, and that's by design, because I don't like drama. Okay, let me rephrase that. I don't like my drama. I like watching other people's drama that don't affect me. I love that. But my own drama, no. I am not a fan of my own drama. So, like I said, I built my life to be kind of a recluse and, keep people kind of at arm's length so I don't have to deal with their bullshit. So, unfortunately, when you do things like that, you don't have much to talk about. So, it's a catch-22. What do you do? So, whipping chats on my channel are going to be hit and miss. They're definitely not going to be like once a week or, maybe once a month. I don't know. And then, I would love to do, I think we all realize that I'm a serial starter. I have a ton of whips. I've got several things on my channel that just has like one or two videos, like whip parades. I try to do whip parades more frequently. It doesn't work. And because again, they're big canvases and I don't have a space to actually film well. I have kind of figured it out a little bit more where, it's not as terrible as maybe it once was, but it's still, I have my craft room is small. I think it's a maybe a 10 by 10 or 12 by 12. So, I mean, it's small. And then, in order to do, because of the way my setup is on my desk, I have a shelf. So, and then my diamond paintings that I'm working on can slide under this shelf. It's a two shelf, and it can slide into this shelf, and I can work on it. I can work on big paintings, but you can't really show them. So I have to get out a card table in my craft room. And so that takes my, well, I mean, I may have a 12 by 12, but usable space that's not taken up with diamond paintings or accessories or tables. My usable space is probably maybe a 5 by 5, 6 by 6. So, I mean, it's already small. Then I have to get a card table. Well, that card table, it takes up, it's a 2 by 2. So, now I've cut down my usable space because it's in the middle. And so I just have like a pathway to be able to kind of walk around. Long story short, it's a pain in the ass to have to sit it up and then put my tablecloth on it because I've had this card table for 25 years. If you have anything for 25 years, it doesn't look very good anymore. And so I put the cloth on there and then I grab all of my stuff and lay it on there. And then have to hook up my iPad above. And then another thing that's irritating is in order to get the entire table in screen of my iPad, I also have to show the sides. And the sides, I mean, maybe some of y'all's craft rooms are pristine and clean and not cluttered. Mine's a train wreck. First of all, I have carpet in this. This is like the only, no, my room and my son's room. The only two places that still have carpet because we've been slowly pulling it up. And so I have this carpet from the 70s that needs to be yanked. The people that lived here before obviously had pets, and the pets had pottied on the carpet, and instead of trying to clean it, they just cut holes, and now the bare subfloor is showing. We rent, so we don't get around to doing much upkeep, especially in areas that we're not in very often. Like this room. Of course, this room now I use a whole lot more. But when we first moved in, basically we just say this was just backstock or junk. It was a junk room, and then I cleaned it out to make it my craft room. And that's as far as we got. It needs painted, and anyway, that's running off on a tangent. Anyway, in order to be able to show you the entire painting, I have to have the camera up high enough to where it shows the whole painting, but it also shows the sides. So it shows the carpet, it shows the junk, and then I have to edit that out, crop it and edit it out. And editing, oh my gosh, editing takes so much time for me. And so, I have to really be mindful of, is this a video that I want to edit? And that's pretty much my deciding factor. Is this a video that I want to edit? If it's not a video I want to edit, I don't even film it anymore, because it'll set in my, used to be I would film it and then it would set in my drafts to be edited, and then 6 months later it's like, well, this is old news, and I delete it. Now I don't even video it, but I do like to show you my whips because I have a ton of them, and there are some people out there, you may not be one of them, or you may be, that loves to see people who have really let their whips go. I know I am one. Anytime I see somebody who has over 20 whips, I'll watch it because I think it's funny. And the ones that only have, like, here's my whip parade of 4. I'm like, that's not a parade. That's just, I don't know what you would call it. But a parade is like 10, 20. There was one girl on here that had like over 50 whips. And I watched that video 2 or 3 times because I liked seeing the whips. I liked seeing how much she had actually got done. And so I love doing whip parades on mine. I love showing you guys, okay, this is what I have. This is what I've done since the last whip parade. Because as we know, my whips tend to sit for months and months and months. So usually they're in the parade 3 or 4 times. And, I mean, you kind of get to see your progress. And then I started that whip wind down, or whip work down, I think is what I called it, where all my 2024 and prior whips, I'm working on, I put it on the wheel, and I'm trying to get those caught or off my plate so I can get new whips, which that doesn't stop me. I still have new whips, but my thought is if I can just get the 2024 and prior ones done, because I'm tired of looking at them, concentrate on those and get them done. And then, my 2025 and the future ones, I'll figure that out later. So, anyway, I don't even know where that train was going. Filming. Anyway, I do like to do those for you, but it is very convoluted. And it has to be something, what I normally do is whenever I get out that table, then I try to do 3 or 4 videos that require that table. Then I gotta edit them. So, speaking of which, anybody have a good editing software out there? I use iMovie, I use Filmora. Not crazy about either one of them. I'd like to have a free option, but I like iMovie because you can put a bunch of drafts in there and then work on them whenever you get a chance. With Filmora, you have 2 unless you upgrade, and 2 drafts just doesn't cut it for me. Like I said, they're like my whips. I have several going at one time, and so I need to have something that I'm able to I've lost that train of thought. I'm able to edit whenever I want to, because sometimes, maybe I am watching TV, or it's at night, I'm trying to wind down. I will grab a draft and I will work on the editing part of it. So, if you have an editing software you like, drop it in the comments. I sure would appreciate it. So, I have no idea how long this has been. I can't see it, but I'm thinking it's probably been an hour or so. Well, like I said, like 6:05 whenever I started, and now it's almost 7. So yeah, I have talked for almost an hour, which is unheard of for me. I'm not a huge talker, so um, long story short, my life's been chaotic. I've had people die on me. I've had people be in a rehab center. My boy's doing good. My husband not so much, but he'll get better, hopefully. I'm doing okay, other than stressed because I get to do my job and his while he is trying to recover, which, that's a part of being married. It's never 50-50. It's always 80-20 or 60-40, or, one person picks up the slack when the other person can't. It is what it is, and that's the way a marriage should be. But, I mean, it's definitely right now, like, at least 80-20, maybe 90-10. That poor man of mine he just can't do things right now because he hurts so bad. And I feel for him, but I don't know what to do for him. He does have he's supposed to get some physical therapy that maybe will help. So I do hope it does. Anyway, I think I'm done. I talked your ear off long enough. So just know that from now until the end of the year, my videos are going to be sporadic. I am going to do my best. I'm going to get some things filmed because I do want to put out at the beginning of the year. I do want to have at least a couple times a week posting videos, and maybe I can be more consistent. I say this all the time though. I'm really consistent for like 2 or 3 months. My channel starts to grow, people start watching, and then life happens, and then I dead in the water for like 2 or 3 months, and my channel stops growing, and then I start up again, and it's just this vicious cycle, and it's frustrating. I'm going to say that it's frustrating because I've seen creators that had started around the same time. They were consistent, and now they're reaping the benefits of a larger audience, and which I don't really care. Definitely would like to get to that 1,000 mark. I mean, that's like the pinnacle. So I'd love to get 1,000 subscribers at some point. And but I don't know. I keep going back and forth. Is this worth it? Yes. Is it time consuming? Yes. So, there's got to be a balance, and I'm still trying to find that balance, guys. Hang in there. I appreciate y'all watching. I do enjoy your comments. I like to interact with you guys. There are, 2 or 3 people that will comment on every video that I put out, and I thank you for that. It's at least I know I'm not talking into the void, so I appreciate that more than you know. Anyway, thanks for stopping by, and I'll catch you in another video. Bye-bye.